press on that middle button. You want to press downloading, just press anywhere like that middle button. Just don't press the middle button. Press down button. Yep. Good. Good. Logins on the upper right corner. Shouldn't be. It does work. It'll work. Those just coming in, you're logging on the upper right corner of the board, that information. CIS280 and boot camp. That's just it. Sure. I'm going to start it. Do that. Right. Do that. See it all. Yeah, it takes a bit to log in. All right, how's everybody doing tonight? This is CIS280, Intro to iOS Development. My name is Professor Chuck Conkle. We have someone from the Reading and Success Center. She's going to come up and share some stuff with you real quick, so pay attention. Come on up.
Hi, everyone. My name's Sarah. I'm from the Rock Valley Tutoring Center. I'm also representing the Writing Center today, so I'm going to pass these out. We just got these flyers. They have a lot of really good information in them about the Writing Center, but also online tutoring and possibly a 24-hour free tutoring service that you can access through your Eagle account. And the way you find it is to go to the question mark icon underneath the inbox in your dashboard in Eagle, and you click on that, click on Upswing Online Tutoring, and you're going to log in again with the Eagle password. And that will give you access to all of that Upswing has to offer, including tutors. You can look up by tutor or by class. And it's completely free, so you should take advantage of that. You should also take advantage of it because it was brought to my attention today that we do not actually have a tutor in the tutoring center that is working on this class. So we actually can't help you guys, but what I would say, sorry, did I pass that this way? Yeah, okay, sorry. What we would like to ask is that you guys get through this semester, you get an A or a B, you can come and tutor, and then we'll have somebody. So that would be awesome. We have people graduate, so sometimes we'll have a tutor and then we won't the next semester. But if you can tutor it, that would be great. Once you graduate, even if you go on to another college, you can come back and tutor just for the summer as a graduate student. So that's something to think about. The Writing Center is for any papers that you write for any reason. So even for this class, anything you might have to write, the tutors in the Writing Center are going to be able to help you with that. Our hours of operation are 9 to 5 on Monday through Thursday, and then 9 to 2 on Fridays. And we're located in the basement of the Student Center, so that's the building, I believe, directly behind me, actually, basement of the Student Center, just down the hall from the bookstore. You all probably went to the bookstore. So it's a very underused resource, and we're just trying to get out there and let you guys know about it. So please take advantage of it. Thank you, Professor, for the time.
As you said, I am the tutor for this course, but other courses you need help with as well, definitely recommend you going. It's a great service to the students. Okay, first things first. We're going to go over just an intro tonight of the layout of the course and how I teach and how we're going to go through the semester. You should have, everybody should have access, or when you check in to class, you're going to log in first with that login on the board. You want to jot it down on a piece of paper or your phone. That's great. There might be weeks you get here, I don't have it up there when you get in, so we just don't like to make it public knowledge, even though students that have been through this room probably already know it. All that is an administrator account to the max, which allows us to get to things easier. So it's CIS290, and then lowercase bootcamp, all one word, gets you into the max. Second thing you'll do is you'll come up, and all of you do this as you leave today, instead of when you come in. You'll check in right with this iPad. You will need your phone. If you don't have a phone, you can use my phone, or you can go to a website that I'll give you right now called myattendance.today. I'll write it up on the board. Myattendance.today, and you want to put in your S number. So if your S number is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you put that in the little text box. click the button, and it'll give you a QR code. QR code, which you're going to use to check into the iPad. If you've had me before, the same QR code you've had before will work on your phone if you already have it saved. If you've never had me before, it'll be a new QR code for you. And basically, a QR code is just an image of your S number, what it is. And so in QR code technology. Make sense? So you can be going to that while we're going over stuff today. At the end of the session, you can bring up your phone, and if you can't get in or have trouble getting in, I can send you the QR code, so no big deal. So if you do have issues getting your QR code between now and the end of tonight's session, don't worry about it. I'll get it to you. Make sense? So you'll check in, second thing, after you log in. Generally, the overhead will be up and running. Starting in week 2, we're going to be doing a Kahoot each week, which some of you have had that with me. Basically, just a really fun quiz over reading assignment, content that we've been going over, news of the day. It's not graded. It's just more of a content awareness to see how you're doing. You can check yourself with it. It's a fun little tool that we use. So, one thing, by the way, that we do in here is definitely recorded. So what you're seeing on the overhead and hearing is being recorded, so you don't have to feverishly write everything down. It'll be posted, by the way. Each week has modules we'll go over in just a second. And one of the week's documents will be one for podcast, which will be the session that we're in currently. So when you leave tonight, you can literally access a podcast immediately when you walk out. It'll be available. Okay? You don't have to wait. All right, so iOS mobile app development. This is one of the 3 courses needed for the mobile app certificate, which is Logic, CIS170, CIS280, which is this class, and then CIS245, which is the Android class, which we teach in the spring. Those 3 courses combined, you can get, if you want, a mobile app certificate with that. Give you the base knowledge for mobile app development. And so, with that said, you should have had a time, hopefully, or not, to look at the Getting Started Engine button here, which we're going to go over in just a second. But before we do, I want to go over the top information on the course. We meet at 4:30. The agenda for the course is generally going to be this. We come in at 4:30, have general announcements, go right into the content for that week, do an in-class lab, and then we'll be done with our content for the night by 6 o'clock. From 6 to 7:15, it'll be open lab to work on that current week's assignment, or if you're working on the last week's assignment, either one, it'll be open for that. Here in a few weeks, you will begin starting on your final app for the course. Instead of a final test, you'll have a final app that you'll create for the course, more of a prototype, so it won't be completed. It'll just really complete as much as you can get done, basically, by December. And we'll be working on that periodically throughout the semester. And so 4:30 to 6, 6 to 7:15 is going to be lab time. You don't have to stay for lab time if you don't want to. The other question you might have in your head right coming to the class is, I don't have a Mac. That's great. You don't have to have one. This lab is reserved for you, and I'll find out tomorrow morning exactly what the schedule is for this lab. But if there's not a class in here, it's going to be your lab to come in to work with, okay? So anytime it's open, you'll be available. It'll be available to you. In fact, I'll just show you what it was last time. This is roughly what it'll look like this time, I'm guessing. I doubt there'll be much fluctuation. So 8 a.m. to 4:15 a.m. On Monday, 8 to 10. On Tuesday, pretty much the whole day. Wednesday, 1:30 to 5:45. Thursday, 8 to 10. Friday, 8 to 10. And Saturday, 9 to noon. So pretty much open up for you guys, and I'll confirm that with Deb tomorrow that that's changed. And it might, but that's kind of give you an idea of what you can plan for. The one reason I share that right now is some of you might, if you have tons of money to spend, that's great. But if most of you don't, You don't have to go out and buy a Mac immediately. You can survive this class. I would say probably 50 to 60% of students taking the course thus far haven't had a Mac coming into the class, but maybe after taking the class, they're like, hey, I could do some more of this. I'd like to do it. Maybe go out and buy one. So does that make sense? So you don't have to buy one the whole semester if you don't want to. Now, I'll just tell you right now, if you're buying a very first Mac, I recommend to you a Mac Mini. It's going to be the most reasonable price base for you. It's about $500, $450, $500, brand new. The other place is on Apple's website. You can go to refurbished, the refurbished area on Apple's website. It's at the bottom of their website, and you can generally get really good deals there. That's how I buy a lot of mine. And they have a year warranty, just like the brand new ones. So those two options. Mac Mini, you can connect to your current PC's monitor, keyboard, mouse, so you don't have to buy any externals except for the actual little box. In fact, let me show you really quick what the Mini looks like. And you can view these at Best Buy too. You can actually go to Best Buy and kind of. I like to go to Best Buy to look at stuff. I don't usually buy much, but I like to look at they have a pretty good Apple area over there. So I'll show you here what the Mac Mini looks like. That's what the Mac Mini looks like. Really small footprint. It's really, really small. It's a little bit bigger than the largest Roku that's out, about double the size of the Roku. Fits really nice in your smart TV. Most of you have a flat screen at home. You can put it right on your TV, and you can literally use that as a monitor as well, which some students do. Use their TV as a monitor, and then you can get a wireless keyboard and mouse for $50, and then you're good to go. So that's an option. So, but don't go out and buy a brand new Mac right now. You can survive right now with the Macs in the classroom. You also have to work your schedule to fit that. That help? Cool. All right, next, below this is my office number, which is 2222. That's hopefully easy to remember. This phone number is a Google phone number, which if you call or text it, you can do either one. If you like to text, just text. Like say you're going to be late for class, you're not going to make class or whatever. You got called into work, emergency, whatever. Text me when you can. I know sometimes you're not able to do that, especially in an emergency. I get it. But just text me as soon as you can. Let me make sure I know what's going on. As long as you communicate to me what's going on, you're good. I'll generally give an extension on due dates and things like that. That's my email. Course navigation. Course navigation basically is when you shows you all the ways to navigate the course and go throughout the course. Syllabus, won't take time to read that in class, but definitely take time to read that. Open lab times, went over that. Facebook. I won't click on these, but these are our division or our iOS course Facebook, iOS course Twitter handle, and my Snapchat, which I haven't really updated in a while, but it's still out there. I will be probably using Snapchat for events, I think, this semester for the division. Course documents, if you click on that, it'll go to the course documents that we'll go over in a second. Course discussion, anything course related or even non-course related, you can post in there. And then course success, I'll go over that real quick. So to succeed in the course, pretty simple. You just read and do all your reading assignments. Most of your reading assignments will be comprised of online, PDF, and some stuff I put together. And so read and do all your reading and examples before attempting any discussion, programming assignment. Watch podcasts if available, which you should have one right after each session. There will be some custom podcasts I'll make throughout the semester. If we don't have time to cover something in class, I'll make something custom really quick to throw out there. Go over that. Number 3, download and run any source code. You'll learn what that is about in the next few weeks, what source code is all about. Number 4, carve out at least 5 to 6 hours a week initially for your programming assignments. Week 1 should not take you that long because you got a lot of little bitty stuff to do. And you might not take 5 or 6 hours to complete your weekly assignments, but it's good to start out with that. You can always pare it down. And then read the section regarding what we're going over in the podcast. Look at examples I've given you. Go to our course resource page. Search a website called Stack Overflow, which has tons of resources to help you. and then take a short break. It's always good to take a break and walk around. And then start back again coding once you've done that. You want to ask for help only after you've exhausted all the steps above. And so once you do need help, though, you can definitely compress whatever project you have together, which you'll learn how to do that next few weeks. Send me an email with that project. Type in the email what you're having issues with, and I will reply ASAP with help that you need. All right, so if you follow those steps, you will succeed in the course. I'm going to go back to the home page. If you need to set up office meeting, the easiest one is the schedule meeting link. If you click on that, it'll take you to this page here, which I'll show you, which you can select different 15-minute segments. I believe I've set them up on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this semester. And so, like, say, for instance, you're available this Wednesday and you want to talk to, say, 6:45. You can confirm it. And then you can say, okay, I want it to be online. And you just schedule it. And it comes right to my inbox. And I can help you. Is it not logging in for you? Are you using this login here? Yeah, use that login there. I'm sorry. CIS280 and Bootcamp. Okay, and that should work, guys. Let's see. So let's schedule a meeting. Textbook. You don't have to purchase a textbook for the course. There is a textbook here, a PDF called iOS 10 App Essentials. You'll need to download and keep it on your iPad or your computer, laptop, whatever, for reference. That's the login for the class right there on the upper right corner. All right, let's start with the start button, the engine start. This is what we're going to be doing this week mainly. A lot of little bitty maintenance stuff you got to get up front. I got to get from you. One is if you're not familiar with Eagle, which some of you might be, some of you might not be. I'm not going to assume everybody knows Eagle. There is links here. If you click on this link, it should send you to the courses moved, which good, they moved, put the link in there for you. Self-paced Canvas student tour. So if nothing else, you can go over that. If you want to schedule more, you can definitely do that at the Eagle office in the ERC building, top floor. Sign up for free online journal through Penzu. We'll be using that here, in a few weeks. You'll be doing a daily app journal of your final app and the ideas you have for apps and stuff like that. Already went over about course, but you'll go over that again. This is important. Whether or not you have an Apple ID or not, you need to create a brand new one per Apple direction. You guys are going to be student developers for the course. You have to create a brand new Apple ID using your student ID. If you already have one using your student ID, that will be fine. You can use that same Apple ID that you've created. Most of you probably haven't created one with a student ID, though, hopefully, but if you have, it should work. Once you've created your Apple ID, and there's links in here how to do it, by the way, so follow those links. Another important one that you might want to read into is, especially if you want to not tie a credit card or a debit card to an Apple ID, there's steps of how to do it here in the link. And I already went over the MacBook or iMac option, and it's optional. If you do have a MacBook or an iMac, you need to download the latest version of Xcode. If you don't have a Mac at home, it's fine. You can survive on campus. And there's links to download Xcode here. Whole bunch of bookmarks. You need a bookmark from the PDF for the book, which is basically a download. Swift cheat sheet, which Swift is a language you'll be learning this semester. The iBook for iPhone, iPad. This is a book for free that you can download and sync to your iOS device. Stack Overflow is a great source as well for all programmers. We will use that in here. My website's resource page And then a brand new webpage we're building called ioscourse.co. Already went over social media stuff, but I put it in here as well, along with the accounts for social media. So whether or not you're on social media or not, I definitely recommend. You'll need to sign up just for the class at least, because I use it quite a bit for communication. There's actually some colleges using social media for students to check in their courses, larger like a CS course in California, 300 plus C++ class, and iOS class checks Twitter versus having to do a manual check-in. Definitely. And lastly, signing up for Replit. Replit is basically a tool that I'm using tonight. Reps is really fun you can use to compile multiple different languages online. So we'll be doing Swift in here this semester. But notice in here is Python, Node.js, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Scheme, C#, Java, and then some practical languages. All those, including PHP, which I'm teaching this semester, Go, which is a really popular new Google language for development, all the way down to web languages, framework languages, testing, even QBasic and esoteric like Emoticon and Bloop, which are newer programming languages. So anyway, Replit is basically an online place to not only see how code works, but like in my C++ class, they actually created games using this tool, online games using Replit. It's totally free to set up and to register, but make sure and do that this week. You will be using a couple Replits tonight as we get started in Swift. Once you're done doing all 10, you'll just say I've completed and continue on the journey like Noah's already done. And then on the About Me, we only meet one night a week. So this is a way to get to know each other. You'll post in here, name you go by, favorite food, movie, hobbies, why you're taking a class, and then reply at least 2 others by next Sunday, by this following Sunday. iTunes U will be uploading podcasts periodically to iTunes U. iTunes U is a free service to all K through 12 and post-secondary to upload video and audio podcasts at no cost to the educational folks. And so if another cool way to use iTunes U, if you're taking other courses on campus besides this one, you can use iTunes U to find, like was mentioned here tonight before we started, basically a virtual tutor through an iTunes U course. You could register for, say, I don't know, quantum physics or mathematics, or let's say you're taking trig or something, and you could literally subscribe to a trig course from Stanford and learn from a Stanford professor on the topic you're talking about in class you don't quite understand. Maybe they might be able to help you, but they might make you more confused too. But you can find other podcasts out there totally free on iTunes U, which most students are not aware of. Apple doesn't push it, by the way, probably why you're not aware of it. It's kind of a silent diamond gem, I think, in the Apple ecosystem. iTunes U isn't really well known. They do spend a lot of money on it, but it's kind of for educators to use or not use. I tend to push it because it's a free tool. I think right now 1,200 colleges and universities use it. And again, the top colleges, not that we're not a top college, but Stanford, MIT, Princeton, all these huge campuses. Why not glean from professors from those areas and for your coursework, right? So it's totally free. You can also subscribe in iTunes U to other professors here on campus. And we're looking at having the president of the college does a weekly email to faculty right now. We're looking at making that video, kind of digitizing what he does into a little short 2-minute video to give it a kind of a weekly, here's what's going on at RVC type of address, which I think would be kind of cool. Because it's literally the stuff he emails us isn't really private information. It's usually just stuff we're doing. Stuff faculty is doing, students are doing, awards students are winning, that you guys are winning, from sports to academics. to activities coming up, things like that. So we're looking at that. So iTunes U, you can subscribe to ours, but also other ones I also recommend you doing as well. And you'll have time this week to do that. The first week in most courses here on campus, like most colleges, you're not generally covered real heavy in workload yet. It's a lot of little busy work. So now's the time to kind of investigate iTunes U. And iTunes U will load on a Mac or a PC, either one, and the client is free to download from Apple's website. If you have an iPad or iPhone, the next one. And you'll notice how I'm going next on these. That's how I recommend going through each week's content. Week 1 does have a lot of next, but most weeks only have 4 or 5 next items to go through. But if you do have a current iPhone or iPad, just let me know. Yes, no, that's all I have to know right now. I do have, by the way, I just wrote a grant for 20 iPad minis that we will be using this semester for those who don't have an iOS device, especially when you get towards probably November, when you're working on your app and you want to really test it on an actual device, be able to check it out and take it home, play with it, stuff like that. We will be working on what's called simulation devices here in the class, but it doesn't replace a real device. I mean, it's not as good. And there's some things you can't test on simulation, like you can't test taking a video on a simulation. You can't take tests like recording audio on a simulation. You can test kind of quasi-test maps, but not really. You can do like you can say I'm here at Rock Valley, but you really can't do a simulated drive. I take it back, you can. You can do a simulated drive in Cupertino, California. You can do that, but really not going to help you much. So we'll be doing that. So if you don't have an iOS device, again, like I said with the Macs, do not go out and buy a new iPhone or iPad unless you buy a big, a good deal or something on one. That's fine. But if you're not an iOS person right now, you don't have to go out and buy one. We will be using simulation tools here in class, as well as you can check out iOS devices as the semester goes on. The tool we will be using, if you do have an iPhone or iPad, is a website called udid.io. And this one, all I need is everybody, including yourself, that has an iPhone or iPad. This would be friends and family. We need to get from them your UDID. All that basically is, it's kind of like a VIN number of a car. All right. What Apple does with that is it adds it to our developer account. So when you guys create apps, they can run those apps on their devices. Okay. So Apple has to have those UDIDs. And it walks you through how to do it. It's real simple. Follow those steps, give it to your friends and family, or if you want to, you can do it for them. Maybe it might be easier once you do it. Let me see your phone or iPad, I'll do it for you type thing. So you can have them added to your list. And what will happen is it'll all come to me on step 7, all the UDIDs, but you'll submit below the friends and family that you had them send to my email, that UDID. So I will kind of know who sent what information. The one thing I don't have down here is, and most students caught this last time, be a good idea to submit the UDID in this area as well, so I'll kind of know who's what when I submit it. Generally, most students catch that, but it's not in the steps. So I just have you, in the steps, I just have you submitting your names of family and friends, but be a good idea to probably put their UDID in there. If you don't, though, it's no big deal. As long as I have it, that's the big deal. All right, as long as I literally have it to add, I don't really need to know whose it is. So if you don't want to share, you don't have to. That's probably why I originally didn't put the wording in there. And by the way, there's nothing I can do with the UDID. There's nothing I can hack into or anything, or Apple can hack into with it. So literally, it's just it's a key basically. So Apple can say, okay, as a developer, I can give you an app, and with that key in Apple's website, they'll allow you to test that app basically. Because every time you run an app in Apple's ecosystem, it checks to see if you have a key. Right now, that key is if you bought an app on the App Store, it's your ID, your Apple ID, that you purchased it somewhere down the road. That's your key. The key for developers is a UDID, because we can't put your apps on the App Store. So the key is the UDID of the device, basically, is why that kind of works like it does. That's the science behind it anyway. Reading, most of your reading is going to be from that PDF file you download in the homepage. It's a fairly good size, but not too big PDF. I like it because it gets right to the point on that PDF of content, examples, examples, examples. So it goes over a concept and then goes right into multiple examples, which I love. So hopefully you guys will like it too. The other one I recommend is there's a iOS cheat sheet that I recommend downloading that just gives common things that you use from variable to types and a whole bunch of other things that we'll learn this semester with Swift to help you. And don't feel bad having to go back to that because that's why I'm giving it to you. All the stuff we're talking about thus far, PDFs, online tools, getting help, asking for help is all part of what you do as a developer all day long. And I've been developing for roughly 30 years, roughly in the iOS, Windows world both, and web world. And as a developer, I've worked by myself, but I've also worked in teams of people, presently work in both worlds now. And you're always asking for help. Or you're always getting stuck on something that you're working on and you're like, I've looked at this for hours on end and I don't know what's going on. It's totally messed up. Somebody come look at it and go, well, you forgot that, right? No, I didn't. Well, yeah, you did. Oh, okay. So one of those deals will happen to you too. Okay. That's okay. Don't feel bad. That's good. We need other eyes to check what we're doing and keep us, humble, I guess, right? That's what I say. And so, anyway, don't feel bad in going back to these resources. And the reason I tell you that in the reading one, because reading for some students, if you're like me in college, boring, but don't look at it like that in programming because reading is something that's kind of like your livelihood, if that makes sense in programming. If you think about in other fields of study, and I did this in college too, I took classes like you guys are having to take. I tell students this all the time, you're going to take classes that you tolerate. You have to take them. You literally have to take them to graduate. Just the way it is, right? And you'll never maybe look at the textbook again. Yeah, true. And you paid $120 for the book. Yeah, you will, right? Or you've already done it multiple times probably, right? That's okay. Because the end result is that piece of paper, right? You know what you're talking about, or at least the paper says you know what you're talking about. But the difference between, I'll use a class we don't teach on campus, Latin, is an example. We don't teach Latin, but my dad took Latin in high school and was pretty good at it. And it's a dead language. It doesn't change, right? Latin doesn't change. It's been the same for centuries. Anyway, once you learn the Latin language and you understand it and you understand the concepts of it and you use it every day, you kind of don't need your references as much. But with programming, it changes so often, you're always needing your references. Stuff's changing. Now, you guys are pretty, I can't think of the word but blessed. You're pretty blessed the fact that in the Swift world of programming, we're now on year 4. Swift came out in 2014. So we're fairly, not mature, but a lot more mature than we were in year 2 and 3, where changes were occurring for you guys, students, every month. Some major Swift changes were happening. It's slowed down a little bit. So you're not having to change, stuff's not changing as often. But stuff still does periodically change, and you're going to need to go back to the references. Plus, there's so much stuff tools to learn, right? Like, for instance, what I talked about earlier, how to make an app that does video, how to make an app that does an audio recording, how to make an app that takes pictures, how to make an app that does maps, how to make an app that saves databases from all different places. I mean, a whole bunch of different ways and tools you're going to learn. And there's many different ways to do it. And these resources you'll learn this semester, from the PDF to the online stackoverflow.com, my website, sources we'll use on what's called GitHub, which you'll learn about this semester. You'll be doing it week 2 or 3. Will help you. It'll kind of build your tool set, kind of, I like to call it. And the way I teach is project-based teaching. Basically, every week you're going to do a separate project, building on your skills from the prior week. Here in a few weeks, you'll be submitting a final app idea where you can actually start having an option. Do I create this assignment for the canned assignment you've created, that Professor Conkle's created? Do I create that, or do I add this to my final app? You can do one or you can do both. And then you can literally start working in weeks 4 or 5 on your final app all the way to the end of the semester. And you're literally working on an app that means something to you, functionality-wise, purposeful-wise, whether it's something you can use at your workplace, at home, or you might want to publish to the App Store, possibly. Does that make sense? So that's one of the reasons why in all my programming classes, probably the last 5, 6 years, I shifted from, which isn't a bad way to teach, or wrong way to teach, the CAN projects, which is okay, and you learn stuff, but once after you do it, you're like, I'll never use that. I don't see a purpose. I mean, I see use of it, but I won't ever use it. I don't see me use it. But if you're creating an app that you created the idea for, you might not use all the concepts we're going over this semester, and we'll talk about that in just a second, but you'll use a lot of them that you can implement each week in your final app. So let's go over that for a second. There's so many things to learn in 16 weeks. You're not going to learn everything. Not going to happen. I guarantee it. I've taught many times. I know. So what we do, the beauty behind the final app idea is this. Around weeks 11, 12, we start letting you work full-time on this app. And I am your app guru for that time. I kind of help you in whatever you need help with. So when I tell you right now, when you're thinking of your app ideas in a few weeks, if some of you may have already looked ahead in the course, which I have everything already published. One of the weeks coming up is you'll be creating an app idea. Make it sky's the limit for you when you're thinking of that idea. Don't say I can't do that because we're not covering this. I looked in the syllabus. We're not covering it. Don't worry about that. I will help you in whatever you need help with. I'll also help you around October-ish to maybe say, okay, here's what let me help you figure out what you can get done, at least prototype-wise, like version 1 beta by December, right? Well, okay, what's pressing? What do you really want to work? What's the main functionality? That's what we'll focus in on. But initially, don't worry about that yet. Just kind of worry about the big picture type stuff, which we'll go over more in the following weeks to help you. Because when you worry about the details in creativity anyway, it bogs down creativity, right? We've all done that, right? But when we're free to think without failure or without any type of roadblocks, sky's the limit. So don't just take the lid off of it, is what I'm giving you permission to do, I guess. And anything I can help you with, I'll help you with. And I love doing that because what I like to do is see students create things, and I've seen it all over and over again, create apps that they're still working on 2-3 years later, version 4, version 5. It's on the App Store. They're working with a team of people now at work. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's what it's all about. And they're literally having a real job where they're getting paid to do real work, but they're still in love with that app that started 2 years ago. What that tells me is that thinking works then when it comes to learning programming. Because in the midst of work, that's their play, is that app. You have to have that app as a developer. You have to have that, I call R&D app. All these ideas, you have to have some outlet to have fun, and that's where this class will show you how to do that, I hope. This will help you to be creative, think out of the box. And I'm the type of teacher, and I'm the type to tell students when they ask me what languages to learn as many as you can. Don't put a cap on what you can learn as languages either. Like I showed you the list of stuff that was available in Replit. There's no reason why you can't, and I'll show you tools throughout the semester where you can learn other apps, languages as well. I learn at least 2 to 3 different new languages every year. I'm trying to add new skills or add to my existing skills because, again, when you're doing a project, it's usually cross-sectional, meaning it's multiple languages, maybe mobile, maybe web, maybe Windows, maybe Mac. So you're kind of having a broad knowledge or global knowledge of languages helps, right? And you don't have to be an expert in all those languages. You just have to know enough to complete that project for your tools that you need. Then you just add to your tool set. Does that make sense? Okay, so reading, got all that out of reading, by the way. Next, this is generally a slideshow I do each week. and I will go over some of this in a second. But each week is generally a slideshow from a iCloud using Keynote, which we'll go over that in just a second. And each week you generally have some type of little slideshow to go through. And then podcasts, what we're doing right now is being recorded and it's live. So this is tonight, fall 2018. And so far it's still being live. When I stop the video, it will stop the recording. All right, exercise 1. We're gonna have some fun with this one. We get to use Replit for the first time. So on this slide here, and I'm in week 1 exercise, it says here, in-class demo, Swift Playground, Hello World. And if you don't have this up in front of you, by the way, already, you can just look to your neighbor if you want to. You don't have to feel bad about doing that, by the way. We're not having you really, it's just kind of playing around here. I'll have you submit something later if you can't do it right now. So basically this first link we're going to go to is a link that shows us playground code. And we're going to look at next week for the first time Xcode. But tonight, to kind of do baby steps here, if you're anybody familiar with the movie What About Bob? One of my favorite all-time movies. It's awesome. If you want to laugh and just, it's stupid, silly, crazy, Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. I mean, gosh, it's just two separate polar opposites of people, but great, great, great movie. Anyway, Swift Playground, we're going to go over some notes in it, do a little exercise, and show you how to show you how to share that Replit really easily. So if I go and click on this link, I'm logged in, so I'm gonna click on it in another browser, so I won't be logged in. So like you guys are here. So it should look like this maybe when it comes up. I'm thinking maybe. Does you guys look kind of like that? A little prompt to log in or whatever. We'll just ignore the prompt to log in, by the way, for now. But it is one of your requirements to register. So one of the things in here you'll notice is right when it loads up, it has in there the very top left side all the way down, multiple lines, 1 through whatever. The very top line is basically what's called a comment, all right? And in that comment, it says here, playground equals a noun, place where people can play and learn Swift. On line 3, I've commented out the import UI kit because we don't need it in Replit. On line 5, I have bears space str equals hello playgrounds, CIS students, 280 students. Next line, type in correct information, yada, yada, all the way down. So what I want you to do is this. I want you to click the run button for me. It should take a little bit, but it's going to come up with what I have on the overhead. My name is Chuck Conkle. My age is 25, which is not, by the way. And my name is Chuck Conkle. My age is 25. So basically what we've done is we've ran some code that's here on the left side in the middle under main.swift, and it's compiled it on the right side. All right. We're going to go over the slide in a second what this is, but I want you to see the end result first. So here it says on line 7 to type in correct information on lines 11 through 13, information about yourself. So what I want you to do is where it says student name, your full name, I want you to put your full name right there on line 9. Now I will put my name in there. And put today's date and leave CIS280 as is. You're ready. Just go ahead and start typing in right here where it says your full name. You don't need to log in. No, you don't need to log in. Just go ahead and put your name here, which is your full name. Replace your full name with actually your first and last name like I did on mine. And I put today's date where it says today's date. And I believe it's 8/20/18. And I want you to scroll up a little higher. or actually down lower. Keep going till we get to line 13. 13 says notes for playground, go over in classes. We're going to do right now. So the first thing we kind of already went over, line 15, comments. You'll notice the single line comment we've already went over, which is this right here. That's a single line comment. All right. So if you take your mouse or take your cursor and go click on line 18, you can put in the 2 forward slashes, or technically it's called backward slashes, but it looks like that. And then you can just put in here my first comment. So when the compiler hits that line, when the compiler hits this line on line 18, it's not going to compile it if this was outside of everything, because it's a comment. Now multi-line, which is starting on line 15 and ends here on line 9 or 21, that's a multi-line comment, meaning anything I put in here in between the start and end of that start and finish multi-line is a comment that Swift will skip. So it starts with this that I've highlighted, and it ends with this that I've highlighted on a multi-line. So you generally use multi-line on when you're making descriptions of functions that you're creating in an app, or an app description or something like that. I usually use a one-line comment if it's just a one-line comment, or maybe up to 2 possibly, on describing like what this variable's for, as an example. Multi-line comment, single-line comment. Well, let's go over on line 30, variables. So in Swift, these are the most popular ones. There's more than these, by the way, but these are the ones we're going to be going over the first few weeks. String, double, float, bool, and int. String is a string, and it's generally declared with quotes, all right? Double is a number, generally a number with a .00. And you can have more than that, but at least 00. Float, same way, can take fractions for floats generally. So if you want a fraction, like a float would be good for, like, say, tax rate, 0.06 would be a good example of a float. So something decimal related generally. Bool, true and false, yes or no. Int is an integer, stands for integer, whole number. And you're not going to be quizzed on these, by the way, next week. These are just stuff, we're going to overview kind of stuff tonight. First rule on line 34, variables in Swift cannot start with a number. So here in just a second, you're going to create a variable for your name, for a favorite food, stuff like that. You wouldn't do, you know, var space 1 fav food. That wouldn't work. Okay. Now var space var food, or var space str food, that would work. So don't start with a number. 36, when declaring variables, use the var prefix, var, and that stands for the word variable. Okay. And variable types would be like, say, an example, if it's a string type, I always start it with str. If it's a double type, I start the word with a dbl. If it's a float type, I start with the variable name with the fl. You get what I'm saying? So as you go on, basically, you declare it like that. So an example, string here, an example of implicitly bringing a type into a variable. What this means is the compiler is going to use this Chuck Conkle and put it into this, and the compiler is going to go, okay, that's a string because of this. All right? Variable space, str, full name. Now, would it work if I just did var, no str, just full? Yeah, it would work. But again, when you're programming, and say it's an average mobile app, I heard in the App Store, like an average one, right? Like 4 tabs or something. You're looking at 325,000 lines of code when it's all said and done, roughly. So you want your variables to make sense, right? And so you can imagine variables can get quite large in your list of variable names, so, and the type of variable and all that good stuff. So if I saw this as a program down the line somewhere in my code, I would know that's a string just by the str in front of it. I already know that. And I know it has to do with the full name because of the word full name. So again, I always do this and this referring to the type, this referring to the functionality of the variable. Make sense? Next is if I want to explicitly assign a type, this is implicit, no type. This is explicit. There's a type, int. So var space str years old. Now what should I put here instead of str? Probably because it's an int. Maybe. Anybody? Yeah, maybe, right? int. Cool. Again, it will run fine with str years old. But we're going with this logic. I want int here. What this does is after the name of the variable, colon, int equals 25. Now this variable, str years old, is now explicitly a type int. And it needs to use that type. It has to use that type from that point on for that variable. So we've talked about variables so far. When you think of variable, do you think of something that can change or not change? How many thinks the word variable just automatically think of something that can change? The word variable. You're right. It can. Same in Swift. When you use a var keyword before a variable name, it means it can change. So in this example here, str years old, 25. Well, on the next line, I want to do str years old equals 30. Compiler will do that. Will let me do that. I will reassign it. But here's an example of a constant variable that I want to put my real age in that I don't want to change. And I can't change. And if I try to change, it will error out. We'll see in a second. So let int age equals 25. By the way, is this a implicit type or an explicit type? How many things implicit? It's implicit because notice it's not, doesn't imply here the type is, but the value implies the type and pushes it to it. Okay, so on the line 53, it goes on, it says here, example of a constant variable, place it with your real age. Did that one. So here it says, uncomment below, error if try to reassign the constant. So on line 55, take out the comment, and let's rerun our code. Just click the run button. And it should get an error that says on mine, which it should say on yours, cannot assign to value int age is a let constant int age 35. Change let to var to make it mutable. And you'll notice it even gives you, in that example there, it tells you on this one, line 55, the line and line number. In fact, right here on the very first main.swift.55.8. 8 refers to 8 characters over is when it started assigning it on line 55. So if I take and now change var int my age, or take it back, let int my age on line 51, from let to var, let's do that, and then rerun the code. Now we're good. Now it lets me do it because we changed it to a variable, okay? But there's sometimes in your code you'll want to keep something as a constant, like a tax rate, as an example. Anybody think of anything else that'd be a constant number in a code, in a program? No wrong answer, by the way. Anything besides tax rate? Yeah. Multiplier, yeah, good. Also might be something like, I don't know, SSN, all numbers, VIN, all numbers, stuff like that. So something that's to the person, unique key to that record, to that individual, that definitely shouldn't change. All right, let's keep on going down. Line 64. It says show variables. And by the way, you can stretch out this. I like Replit. You can move stuff around like I'm doing if you want to give you a little bit more room. You guys probably have more room than I do on your screen. Anyway, the next one talks about showing variables in different formats. So if we wanted to show variables in a string, a whole bunch of variables in a string, and concatenate that variable to kick out into one nice string and format it, like the my age is 25, or my name is Chuck Conkle and my age is 25. That's this line right here, line 70. You'll notice I did var space str my age equals, and then beginning quote, my name is space, backslash, and then in parentheses, the variable name I want to put in there, str full name, space, and my age is space, backslash, and then in parentheses, str years old, end quote. What it's doing is, the key here is beginning quote, end quote, right? And it's important also to note that if you mess up and you put something like, I don't know, I put and right after that first variable, str full name, and run it. Not kicking out on me. Let's do this. Make sure it's compiling it. Sometimes it takes a while to update it. Anyway, you have to be careful on this because what it can do is the syntax or the spacing is important when you're doing that. Oh, in fact, this isn't going to make a world of difference because that's not where this one's coming from. It's going to come from down here at the bottom here. Yeah, right here. I think this is it on the print statement. Yeah, let me do it there. We'll go to that in a second. There it is. So my name is Chuck Conkle, no space, end. So again, it'll allow you to do it. But again, what's nice about that is you're literally concatenating that string and formatting it fairly simply. I mean, it's pretty simple. And what's great about it is these variables can be any type of variable above that it can exist, from Boolean variable to string variable to double variable to float variable. But you're putting it within a string to kick out to, in this case, a string. All right. Next is if we wanted to do a new line, what I suggest is in Swift, just starting out, there's other ways to do this, by the way, is use what's called the print statement. On line 76 and 77 is the first two lines in the output. My name is Chuck Conkle, and my age is 25. What I want you guys to do is figure out above line 76 what variable you need to change and where to make it your name and your real age. Go and do that. On line 76 and 77, above that, change it to your person's name and your personal name and your age. And the variable names is str full name and str years old. And yes, I will put my real name or my real age on it this time. And I'll change mine. Why not? I'll change my name to actually what I was called when I was a kid. Okay. All right, here we go. So my name is Chucky Conkle. That's what I was called as a boy in my home with 5 kids. And my age is 51. Now, the very first line that you should have changed is somebody tell me the number that you changed. What number line did you have to change? What number? Okay. 43. And you put your full name in there. And then somebody tell me what line you got to change for the age. What line number? Yep. 47s. Heard somebody say that. So once you change it, and both are variables, meaning they can be changed again down the road if you want to. So you first did your very first programming of Swift right now. So keep going down further. We're going to do the in-class exercise. I'm going to let you see how you do. And you can use the examples above, by the way, to help you. If you need to spread this out a little bit, like I'm doing on mine, you can do that. So what you're going to do is follow the directions here. Just follow the rules I gave you above on how to declare things, what to call the variable name, the assignment operator, which, by the way, is the equal sign that we looked at above, and then the actual value. So the first thing you're going to do on line 86 is declare a string for your favorite food named Fave Food on line 87. And then you'll declare a variable for favorite color called Fave Color on 89. 90, you'll create an integer variable for favorite number, and that's supposed to be Fave Number instead of Fave Color. You'll make that accordion change. And then you'll combine these 3 variables to format it to look something like this here. All right, using the print statement and the string and the concatenating of a variable and a string that we went over above. Okay, you want to do that? And we'll talk about how you're going to share this in a second, which is not at the bottom how we're going to do it. I'll show you how to do it. We're going to do it a little different. Just take your time, we're good. Look at the examples above that if you need to. Yes, sir. Oh, go to the history. Recently closed. Were you in Safari or Chrome? There it is. And by the way, what happens if you hit this button here? We'll take it to normal window view. There. And you can square it up. You're not logged in. Are you logged in? Sure. Top, yeah, click on that. Yeah. I'll have you go another way. Let's see that. All right, how many still working on that? All right, cool. No, you're fine. Good. Again, you can look at the example above if you need to. If you need help from your neighbor, now's a good time to do what we talked about earlier. Ask for help if you need to around you. You'd be more glad to help each other. You can definitely do that in here. Actually, it's highlighted. Very cold. And then do see further past the comment line. Actually, yeah, paste it in there. So do Command V, paste it, hit enter. Okay, top of the next one. So you'll do the same thing for the next two. You already did that one. So what's your favorite color? one you have outlined. Hit enter. Just hit enter. You can make that type. There is a color. Variable favorite food, color, and number. This is number. There is a number. Equals myself. No, it's not myself. Nope, it's an individual. And enter. There you go. And then you're going to put a print line statement, so the word print. Basically, just say my favorite food is. Okay, I'll print and then I'll parentheses. And then beginning quote. My favorite food is. Food is. Space. Backslash. And then parentheses. And then the name of the variable, which is str. And you'll notice when you're typing in the variables, it should have popped up. The IntelliSense should have popped up that variable for you. Good. And then you do an equal. And then there should be a parenthesis. There you go. You got the first one. Use that two more lines, just like that. Okay. Good. All right. So everybody's getting there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use an example. But before I show you an example, and if those are still working on, don't worry about it. Keep working. You're good. So wherever you're at in this process right now, I want you to stop wherever you're doing. And what you're going to do now is you're going to share this code that you've created. And the way you would share it is you'll click on this share button right here. Right? And you'll notice it'll give you a, mine says well off immediate monitors. I don't know what everybody else says. Anonymous well off immediate monitors. Yours will probably say something different. Copy with a shared link. You'll copy the shared link. And then you will go to the in class for week 1. And the easiest way to get the in class for week 1 is go to modules and then find the week 1 in class, which is right here. 1 class exercise, in class exercise. And then here's where you're going to submit your, on the upper right corner of your screen, you'll have a submit button. I'll go to student view so you can see it like I see it. So student view, modules. And submit assignment. And just submit that link. And it should say successfully submitted it to me, and then I can see it. So go ahead and do that. So even if you're still working on it, you can share it and you'll go back and keep working on it. And I'm going to look at what everybody's done here. So we have Emma, venerated polished certifications. Good name, Emma. I like the names they create. White smoke, excellent percent. We got, let's see, desert enchanting thing. Glossy loving disassembly. And then we have, let's see, is it Caleb's? Caleb's must have an account already. Week 1 in class 2000 CIS280 F18. Noah, is this yours? No? Where's Noah? All right, cool. And Carrie's got an account already, it looks like. So when you get an account created, by the way, it'll look like this when you submit, when you share Replit. You'll have your username, and then whatever you call it will be pertinent to that submission, which in this case is week 1. We're just playing around with this one. But I just want to show you how you could share code without an account, definitely if you wanted to. So I'm going to go ahead and copy Carrie's here and go to Firefox, new tab, run this code, and look and see first here. Dum, dum, dum. Did yours not show up? Or am I on the wrong one? Huh? Oh, right in front of me. Okay. There we go. All right, so there's his. My Carrie name is Carrie Swimler, and my age is 50. Let's do another one. All right, let's do, we'll do Emma. I love these names they generate automatically. Venerated, polished certifications. All right. There we go. And here's her code. Pad Thai, red, and favorite number 13. Lucky 13. Here we go. And then there's our output on the print statement. I'll do one more. Why not? We'll do Caleb. I'll pick on Caleb. All right. Okay. Favorite food, steak. Orange is his favorite color, and 3 is a lucky number. And there's the output. So that's how you do a Replit. Pretty fun, right? Not too hard. The one thing you want to remember on a Replit that's different, and you'll learn this next week, than using Xcode Playground is Xcode will put at the top of every Swift file the import statement. You don't need that. In fact, it'll error out if you try to use it in Replit. That's why you just comment it. If you're copying stuff from, which you'll start doing next week, you copy stuff from Xcode Playground into this environment. You just have to remember to comment out the import UI kit. Yes. Oh, did it again?
No, it didn't.
Oh, it did. Okay. You lost everything? I'll have to clear everything. Yeah, basically what the reason is, and we'll talk about that, you want to put it outside the comment. So if I'm 81, then it should show up. Not showing up probably if you did put stuff down here. It's within. So that should help. One of the things you'll notice, I did not make this aware to you on purpose, is whenever you were putting your code in, there was a lovely multi-line comment at the bottom of the directions, and you could have either converted it to a single line comment or put it upside, put it at top like on line 81 or something. And so what I mean by that is, let's see, let's go to the example again. So the example had in it, or the instructions had in it, if I can get to it here, the in-class exercise. If you put your code inside of here, notice the code is all grayed out. And what that means is it's a comment. And it gets a comment, by the way, from this initial line 84 opening comment line and closing. So if I take this out altogether, you'll see what will happen here in a second. If I take this out altogether, you'll see now that's all, raw. It's going to run errors because it's not actual code. So you can delete them, or you can make them single line comments, or you could have just put everything above on line 83 or 101 or something like that. Either one would have worked. Or you could have made multiple multi-line comments if you wanted to as well. What I mean by that is you could have done something like this and taken your multi-line comment and split it up a little bit. So maybe like right here, put one there, and then put your comment, put your var statement or whatever here. Var str, is it fave food equals, only broccoli wrong, I know. Broccoli, and make another comment here by either highlighting it into a comment or just putting a double comment in front of it, so on and so forth. The other tip is when you're making variables, you can copy the whole line if you want to, like I just did there, and then just make your change afterwards. So this one's going to be fave colors. So I'm just going to replace food with color and do green. This will save you a little typing, not a lot, but a little bit, especially if you're doing a lot of iteration type code. And this one's fave numbers. So I'm just going to fave num, and we'll do 17. And then this one here, I can bring back in. And then I do my concatenating variable here with a print. I'll just do the first one. And it's str. And that's the pop-up I was talking about. You can see all the variable pop-ups, which I think is nice. Makes it easier. And just get rid of the extra one. I'll just leave that one in there. Nope. Oh, I got an extra comment because I did not comment out some of my variables. Which one was it? Why is this? This one. Oh, mine. Too many comments I took out and added in. Beginning and ending. Let me get rid of this altogether. Sees it still in a comment is what it's looking like. Little line there to the left. Get rid of that. Boom. Oh, not yet. Green, and kind of food. CIS280 fave food. Oh, you are correct. I got rid of that one, didn't I? Thank you. My eyes are dead tonight. All right, there we go. That works. Another eyes. Need other eyes. So, inside inline comments, definitely just delete and get rid of it. But it looks like everybody did pretty good. And when you submit a replit, when you get an account like these ones I've shown you on your assignment, we're getting ready to go over for the week. It'll actually have in there, once you create an account and you go to share it, it'll have in there your username. I'll pick on Caleb here. And so Caleb's is reading is hard is his username. And then that's how he named it. Now let me name one to show you how easy it is on an actual Replit account. So we'll pretend this is your final assignment for this week, week 1 assignment, and you want to rename it. There's a pencil up here that you guys saw on the one you did log into, remember? You can't click on that because you're not logged in, but you can rename that or name it initially. So I'll just do week 1 assignment, just to show you how easy it is. And that's it. And now that URL is what I will upload, or you will upload to week 1 for week's one assignment. Okay? So that's week one in class, worth 50 points. If you didn't submit it now, you do it between now and Sunday, you're good. You can do it. This is on video, so you can watch me do it over and over again and miss the right parentheses 5 times. So the assignment basically is to pretty much, you're going to do the same thing over again, but a little different variables and declarations. So on the assignment, we'll go over that real quick. I do start out in the assignment with some notes, but what I want you to do is on this assignment, and you'll be logged in as you when you do this, you'll put your student name on line 2, today's date, on line 3, read line 4 like it is. It goes over some notes, again, that we went over already. Then it goes over some other ways that we just went over, examples like implicitly, explicitly, declaring types, constant types, all the way down. Keep reading till you get to the actual assignment, which is the exercise. You'll declare a variable for first name, last name, phone number, email, age. You'll combine all 4 variables in a print format, printing the 5 lines of onto the screen like we did in class. You'll click the share link like we did in class. It gives you the directions here to do it. And you'll post it in week 1 assignment. Pretty simple, right? And so if you need to do it over again, the beauty of Replit is you can do it over again. You can replicate it. You can duplicate it and start over again. All you need to remember when you're starting over again is click on this original 1 assignment. It'll take you, boom, to this page. And then you can actually fork it, or you can just rename it as your Replit. Okay? Either one will work. Make sense? And when you start making a change, by the way, automatically you can then start renaming it to whatever you want it to do. When you just run it as is, it'll stay whatever name I put in there. But then when you start making a change name, you can go into the pencil and change it to whatever you want it to be, and that will work. Well, let me show you here too. If I go to, let me go to an example here. And they do have some pretty cool examples. Let me make my screen a little bit smaller here so I can see them. Okay, teach and learn. And I'll blow this up a little bit. There's a menu called Teach and Learn once you log in, and you can actually go to different examples of code. So I'll pull up some Swift stuff. And I'll go to like Joe's Swift classroom here. And I want to look at one of his replets that they've got in there. And so there's a temperature problem. So right here, there's an example there. I can actually take this code here and copy it. Copy it as is if I want to. And then when I go back to my Replit account on the upper left corner, just click on the little icon here. I can go to my replets or my repls and I click on the plus symbol, type in Swift, and click on the Swift link. And this is being recorded, so you don't have to feverishly type it down or write it down. And now I can actually paste in that code that was in there if I wanted to and run that example. Okay? Now this was a C++ example, but you see what I'm saying. So you can copy and paste code from other examples if you want to as well, and then you'll just need to remember to rename it with a pencil. It will give it some whatever name, weird name it'll give you every time. And so just make sure and click on the pencil to rename it. If you don't, it'll be whatever name it gives you. You won't be graded down, by the way, if you submit something that's not in that nomenclature, week whatever, but just remember that. Questions on week 1 assignment, how to do it, how to submit it. Again, if you have questions, forward fast the video towards the end. That'll help you. So lastly, I want to go over for week 2, we went over week 1 stuff. For week 2, you just click on the week 2, 8/27, which week 2 is next Monday. Week 3, the following Monday, the campus is closed. We're still going to have class that week. It'll just be online. I'll do a podcast prior to the class. You guys will watch it anytime you want to. It doesn't have to be at 4:30 on Monday, but it'll be ready for you. And the reason I do that is we really can't afford to not have a class. So that's why I do it that way. So in week 2, each week I'll have a task. Let me go back and a little further faster than I wanted to. I'll have a task, reading, podcast. We'll have an in-class exercise most weeks, an assignment, and a discussion most weeks. We'll have all of those. So task, reading, podcast, in-class exercise, assignment, and discussion. The task is just going to go over what we're covering that week. You're creating your very first app in Swift next week. We'll look at Xcode, operations, expressions, flow, and switch statement, programming assignment, and then this notes will launch a keynote. We did not go over week 1 keynote, by the way. You'll need to go over that as well between now and next week. On the reading, before you come to class next week, have read chapters 5 through 8 in the PDF download, which just goes over basically variables in Swift is all it does. Do that. Because that way when you guys come to class, I'm going to have that Kahoot, which some of you have had Kahoots in my classes before. It's just a fun game. It gamifies facts, basically. And you have your little phone out or your iPad, and you get to see who can answer the quickest on these questions. It's just going to go over content of what you've read on variables and such with Swift. The in-class podcast, you will see these from here to the end of the semester. They will be static and stay there until I replace them. So before you come to class next week, have all that done. The reading, watch this week's slideshow in week 1, which I'll point it to you on the overhead here. It is week 1 slideshow here. Do the reading for week 2, which I've already went over, which is the PDF you'll download if you haven't already. And that is it. And next week when you come to class, make sure and log in with that information here on the board if you haven't written it down. Lastly, but not least, I need everybody to check in with your iPhones or your iPads or even your Android devices will work by going to the website I put up on the board earlier, myattendance.today, and putting in your S number, submitting it, and coming up here. And if you can't get it on your phone, I will help you. So go ahead and do that before you leave. And also on your computers, make sure and shut down your Macs. And by the way, on the Macs, the way they shut down in here is we like to restart them. Is you will click on the Apple icon and just go down to restart when you're ready, okay? That'll wipe everything out. So get your phones out, if you don't mind. Go to myattendance.today. I believe I spelled it right. Put in your S number without the at student.rockvalleycollege.edu. And then come up to the front, and I will show you how to check in. If you have one from last semester, you can use the same one. Should work for you. Awesome. Now look forward to a great semester. If you need any help, hang out, and I'll help you before you go home tonight. You got one down. Awesome. Great. Cool. Good job. If you need help getting your code or you can't figure it out, whatever, don't worry about it. I can help you when you get up here.
When we're done, will you show me one thing on there? Because he has something.
Good. Yeah, after everybody checks in, I'll definitely help you out. So just hang out. So after everybody checks in, you are free to go. Unless you have questions, I will come around and help those who stay. One by one, get to you as fast as I can. And look forward to a great semester.